Hi everybody, Governor Roy Cooper here. We owe a deep debt of gratitude to our veterans who have fought for our freedom and safety here and abroad. You and your families have made tremendous sacrifices to give my family and me our freedom, and I'm so grateful. North Carolina is the most military-friendly state in the nation, with almost 800,000 veterans who call our state home. When veterans decide to leave active service, it's our obligation to help them transition to civilian careers and get access to the support that they've rightfully earned. I established the Governor's Working Group on Veterans Affairs, which focuses on job creation, health and wellness, as well as legal and financial services for our veterans. We're committed to continuing to ensure that our state is a great place for military families to live and work. Veterans, we are forever grateful. Welcome home.
Welcome home, warrior. With so many options, it can be overwhelming sorting through what resources and benefits you may qualify for. NC Serves is there to help you navigate every step of the way and connect you with everything you have earned through your service to our nation. Our Veteran Resource Guide has over 200 pages of federal, state, local, and nonprofit programs to assist you and your family.
Because of technology, we're all just bombarded with endless information. You can Google something for veteran services, and it's just mind-boggling. And people are busy. They're going to work, they're going to school, they're raising a family, they're trying to do their hobbies, they're trying to have a good work-life balance, and they're trying to navigate a resource, and they get frustrated and often give up. So when you have a central point like NC Serves, you come in and say, I have been very frustrated getting connected to this particular resource. Our community coordinator will say, understand, what do you need, and we're going to get you there, and we're going to streamline it. When you walk in our doors or get connected to us virtually, we can get you all your services, and we're going to be honest with you about what services you can and cannot get, what you're eligible for. Maybe you're not qualified for that service, but our main services: housing, shelter, employment, benefits, navigation, social enrichment, legal, substance abuse counseling, mental health, physical health, you name it, and we're going to find it. And if you don't think anybody can help you, I actually ask, please ask us. You don't know until you ask and until we've navigated through the community. And if it's a need that's not being met, we want to know that. Our partners are amazing. They'll come together and say, we're going to find a way to meet that need. Never underestimate just how committed communities are to taking care of veterans and their families. Not handouts, taking care of them. Giving them great employment opportunities, affordable housing opportunities, access to good medical care, those quality of life issues, those needs that everyone wants. I was surprised just how robust it really is. And then when you ask a community partner, most of the time they say, yes, let's help, let's partner. You may land a good job, but after a while, you're missing what got put into you, which is this sense of mission. And then your purpose. It's like, well, I have a good job, but I don't feel that same purpose anymore. And even veteran spouses will tell us that. Getting connected to us, we'll get those social connections to where if you want to volunteer, great. If you just want to get on a in-person or a virtual coffee, we have all those options to where you kind of get that purpose again when you come back into the community. And you get connected with fellow veterans, and it's often people you knew and even served with. It's a small military in the grand scheme of things, and that sense of connectedness is what we want you to have. I love this because the community has come together. This work is hard. It's tough. It's tough on us. We focus a lot on self-care and taking care of our local team at NC Serves, but also our providers. But at the end of the day, we can say, hey, we made this community better, one veteran at a time.
Welcome home, warrior. Your service to our country came with great sacrifice and quite a few benefits. The Veterans Benefits Administration and our network of state and county veteran service officers across North Carolina are ready to help you identify and file for all the benefits you may qualify for.
Veterans, or rather soldiers, men and women, we're not accustomed to asking for help. We just jump in and do it. However, that could be a barrier for you coming into the office. We want you to come into the office today to assess just what's going on with you. We want to take care of you now.
The VA Regional Office assists veterans transition from military to civilian life. We assist with disability compensation, pension, education, veteran readiness and employment, and home loans.
Some services that a lot of veterans don't think of are the women health. I'm very proud that in 2014 that they're open an office specifically for us women in our health issues, because we too do serve this country.
I'm most proud of assisting veterans that live within our community. These are our store clerks, our postmen, the people that we interact with every day, and we assist them to help better improve their quality of life.
For the veteran that is just transitioning out of the military today, we would like to meet them where they are. However, for that veteran that have been out for a number of years, we would also like to explain or get him or her into the office for those benefits he or she has earned.
One of the biggest challenges is that the VA system is quite confusing because we have so many benefits to offer, which makes it overwhelming to decide. You can meet with us and we could help navigate through those and see what you're eligible for.
Please visit one of our offices because you have earned these benefits. If I had to give a veteran any advice, one thing would be to register at the nearest veteran healthcare facility or seek medical attention through your private provider. Transitioning from military to civilian life is very tough. Please allow us to service you as you have served and protected this country.
Welcome home, warrior. For many service members, continuing their education is at the top of their list. When separating from the military, you may have questions about higher education. How do I find the right school? How do I pay for school? What about my GI Bill? Here in North Carolina, you have many options, many of which can be found in our Veteran Resource Guide. Our friends throughout the UNC system, our community colleges, and private universities are waiting to help you make your next chapter a successful one.
Walking in the doors can be pretty daunting, especially as you look at that transition process. So Daniel and I, both going through the transition process ourselves, understand firsthand, some of those challenges, and they're hard to navigate. So starting at a university, it's who do I talk to, where do I go? That is why we exist. We're here as kind of that case manager, that first line of contact for them. So veterans, being a non-traditional group by nature, they have unique experiences. So I think maturity goes along with that, and it's not just an age thing, but it's an experience thing. So they're more worldly in their views. They have families, a lot of them. They live in homes, they have mortgages, they have full-time jobs. So the way in which we serve our veterans and the military families, it's going to be much different than what it looks like for a traditional student here at the campus.
Here at NC State, I work with our Veterans Education Office. Primarily here, we kind of are the administrative arm of really supporting our students on campus, meaning we can help our military-connected students with military withdrawals, advising questions, registration questions, GI Bill benefits. So if they're using benefits, we can assist them through the enrollment process and receiving those awards that way. And that's really what our focus is to kind of really support them holistically through an administrative process.
Veterans that come to Wake Tech find a place at the center where they can chill. They can meet like-minded veterans, they can discuss their concerns, they can receive assistance if needed, and then they can be successful in what they want to pursue. We are here with a veteran zone so that they can come in and talk to some of their fellow veterans. They can learn about all of the programs that we have. We have Student Veterans of America Club. We have a Salute, it's a Veterans Honor Society, and we're here to help them be successful, but also that they can be with a group that they can relate with.
The Veteran Zone is where it's at. I mean, because it's as real as you can be in there. You're surrounded by a bunch of combat veterans. We all done the same thing. We get each other. I was lost when I first got here. I was scared, and this is where my place of comfort was to be around other like-minded people.
I think important to us is treating every veteran and service member and family member separately. They're individuals. While each of them do have common transitional challenges, they're all unique in terms of what they're going through, and if we treat them that way, then they're going to respect that, and they're going to reach out for us for assistance when they need it.
Welcome home, warrior. What's my next career? Upon entering civilian life, it may be difficult to figure out what's the next chapter of your career should look like. Workforce Solutions and NC4Me have a wealth of resources to get you the tools, the training, and information you need to find a new career with purpose and potential. Employers across the state of North Carolina are eager to hire our veterans.
I believe that if you have served this country, you can certainly serve in any company in this country. NC4Me understands that it's difficult to transition out of the military into a career in the civilian workforce, so we have created NC4Me to make that transition easier. We are going to allow any of our veterans, our Guard and Reservists, our spouses, and our transitioning service members to connect to companies across North Carolina by simply putting their information into our career connection tool. NC4Me employs a team of individuals that are veterans, that are military spouses, so they understand what you've done in the military, they understand the sacrifice that you have made, and they're really good at educating employers on the value proposition of what the value really is with military talent.
We are North Carolina Career Center. In general, we provide a variety of services: employment services, career assessments, assistance with resume, assistance with workshops, and any of the employment services that we have to offer.
A lot of veterans don't seek help. And I think by having an organization like NC Works and Career Center with all the programs, it's another outlet to help them. A lot of times it's easier to blame somebody for your mistakes, and it's kind of hard for you when you're blaming so many people to, like, you know what, hey, I need to take a step back and look at myself in the mirror and seek out that assistance. And I think by, this organization, it's the gateway. It's just, it opens up the doors. Hey, here are some things that we can do for you. If we can't do these, then here go other avenues and other resources that we can provide for you.
We have a team of individuals that understand you, that are veterans, that are military spouses, that help create that connection with employers across the state. So we make sure you're taken care of from the minute you come into our organization and working with us to the minute you exit, and hopefully grab that career that you're going to love for the rest of your life. North Carolina believes that if we trusted you with our country, we can certainly trust you with jobs across our state.
Welcome home, warrior. North Carolina is fortunate to have 4 VA medical centers, over 24 VA clinics, 6 vet centers, and many state and community partners available to assist you with medical care that you are entitled to for your service to our nation. Don't hesitate to reach out. They're all there to serve you.
The state of North Carolina is committed to being the most veteran-friendly state in the U.S. Veterans who live in North Carolina may be eligible for care from the Veterans Health Administration, from non-VA resources, or from some combination. If someone is enrolled in VA healthcare, they should expect to get primary care services, and the primary care doctor can then help them figure out if they need access to specialists. I think one thing that younger veterans don't realize is that they are as eligible for health care as some of the older veterans or those that they've seen that are suffering from physical wounds of war. There are also the invisible wounds of war, and one of the things that veterans should think about is the toll that service has taken on them psychologically, and whether that's something that needs to be investigated.
Here at the Vet Center, we do individual counseling, we do marriage counseling, we do family counseling, and we do group therapy. When a veteran gets out of the military, there's a lot of difficulty transitioning from being a veteran to being a civilian. The Vet Center can walk you through that process and get you to where you need to be. Not only do we serve veterans, but we serve active military, including Guard and the Reserves, as well as their families. And one of the new services that the Vet Center offers is bereavement counseling for family members of anybody who's died while serving on active duty.
One of the hallmarks of the VA is that primary care serves as the anchor for the whole system. If a veteran seeks health care at the VA, they will be assigned a primary care provider who will perform a comprehensive assessment and get them connected to the resources that match their needs. Behavioral health care is now integrated into primary care.
At the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic here in Fayetteville, we service post 9/11 veterans, active duty service members with a TRICARE referral, Guardsmen, reservists, and their family members, all regardless of role or discharge status. If they've worn that uniform for more than a day, they're definitely welcome to our care. As soon as they walk through the door, they've made the first step towards their mental health issues. Here at the Cohen Clinic, our clinicians provide brief evidence-based, client-centered therapy all on an outpatient basis, as well as we provide case management services and resource referrals for things that are like finances, education, housing, and as well some of our clinics do provide transportation to and from the clinics within a 30-mile radius. We also provide child daycare in certain clinics.
It shouldn't matter whether a veteran lives close to a VA hospital or a VA clinic, or whether they live in rural parts of the state. They deserve and are entitled to excellent health care. A lot of new technologies have come into play so that veterans can access care through their home.
The Cohen Veteran Network, or CVN, telehealth video therapy is what we use. It essentially creates our clinic becoming a clinic without walls. This allows our clients to be able to receive care right from the comforts of their own couch without having to leave their own home.
It's important for veterans to remember that they serve their country with distinction. No matter which era they served in, what branch they served in, or what their role was when they were active duty, healthcare benefits are important and will partner with you in your journey.
Thank you for joining us today. Welcome everyone to our 7th 2022 Governor's Working Group. We're glad to see you all, and to all of our Facebook viewers out there. To get an agenda or see minutes and updates, you can go to ncgwg.org. And all of you who are watching, please hit that share button. Share on your groups, share on your Facebook page, share with your family members so everyone can hear what we have to offer here today. Secretary Kaskin could not be with us, so first up we have Mr. Terry Westbrook with the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you all, folks, for being in attendance. As we all know, the mission of the Governor's Working Group is a really important concept that we need to get right in the state of North Carolina. We have an opportunity to provide an incredibly complex set of veteran services, but we have to find out a way to collaborate. We really need to clean our collaboration up. We need to clean our connection up, and this is where we're starting at, right here with the Governor's Working Group. So I appreciate everybody being here that wants to be involved in that mission, everybody that's helping us move that forward, and thank you very much for your time.
We're going to have you come back to do your updates. Yes, it is. Again, Assistant Secretary, Mr. Westbrook.
So good morning or afternoon. Good to see you all here today. I really appreciate the Governor's Working Group. It's really incredibly important, and we're getting this collaboration and connect. Sorry, I already said that. All right. So couple things going on now, right now, within veteran services and things that we got going on in the state. We met this week. This week always turns into being a lot of senior organizations meeting. The North Carolina Veterans Council, which is really a group that is trying to wrap their arms around the veteran service organizations around North Carolina and trying to identify them, make sure they've all got a common voice, and they do some legislative, and they're trying to develop the ability to provide a consolidated legislative voice on behalf of veterans in the state of North Carolina. They met this week in High Point. They were hosted by the Heroes Center, which is a relatively new veteran service organization that's in the High Point area. The big thing they've done is they have adopted a legislative priorities agenda that they're intending to ship out to all of the major veteran service organizations, American Legion, VFW, DAV, Vietnam Veterans of America, and so on and so forth, to try to get that big consolidated legislative voice. So that's that. Second thing up, the completion of the Kernersville State Veterans Home. As you know, we've built one. It is constructed. It is, generally speaking, complete. Our general contractor has left the building, just like Elvis. But we're still waiting on DHHS's Department of Health Service Regulation to issue the final certificate of occupancy so that we can move to the next phase, which is plan the grand opening and start putting residents in the building. So all this work is done. Any day now, we're expecting that certificate, and then somewhere in the 6 weeks or so after that is when we'll start putting residents in the building. So we're trying to put that date together, and we will let you know when it happens. Another thing, as you can see up here on the board, Mission 85. I know that our friend Blake Bourne is probably going to speak to that in a little bit, but Mission 85 is an opportunity to try to create more of a regional response to veteran services and benefits in the region we work in. So we're really expanding outside the boundaries of North Carolina. We're expanding into South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Alabama, the I-85 corridor. So we're really trying to work towards the things that we could do that would allow us to collaborate freely across those state lines, because our veterans that live in York, South Carolina, do veteran services in North Carolina. Our veterans that live in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, go to Norfolk for their medical support. So this is not about what happens just in North Carolina. This Mission 85 is really about all of these solutions across the spectrum, trying to get all these guys together. Next slide. So coming up, a couple of our veteran homes, as some of you know, are approaching 30 years old. And obviously that means that they have major renovation issues associated with them. So we're working on some of those major renovations. We're also working on a couple of other things that the process that made them come to exist was a little bit flawed. So now we have to go back and make that process work better. So we have a couple of fairly major projects associated with heating and air conditioning systems, some roofing and things like that. But we have lots of projects that have lots of money associated with them that we're working on now. The next Veteran Affairs Commission, the North Carolina Veteran Affairs Commission, met yesterday. Once again, this week being that week, they dealt with a lot of the information that the department needs to make sure that the governor's team is aware of. We gave them a pretty in-depth briefing on things like the status of the North Carolina Veteran Home Trust Fund, our veteran services that we're providing across the state, and kind of give them a good snapshot of what our veteran service officers are doing, a lot of information like that. There's a couple of big national conferences that are coming up here in about 2 weeks. The National Association of State Director of Veteran Affairs is coming up. It's in Honolulu, Hawaii. But they're coming up. They'll be doing that for about a week. They're covering a lot of things, a lot of the national level connection to the VA And then the week after that is the National Association of State Veteran Homes Conference. It's in San Diego. And the big thing, when they get together, they're really talking about the policies and procedures that the VA executes in support of us having a state veteran home program. So it's a pretty big deal. The only other thing I'll mention on this slide is, as you see about these subcommittees, we're going to talk about them some, what we want them to do. Some of their committee folks are going to be briefing, some not, and you'll hear them a little bit there. But the big thing is that those of us, the co-chairs and Secretary Gaskin, are trying to configure the governor's working group to go forward in some very specific lanes and find people that are dynamic, aggressive, and committed to the particular lane that we ask them to work in, to come up with recommendations on how to make their particular portions of this work as good as possible. Next slide. Takeaways. Number one, or do I have it? Is nobody else doing that for me? Okay. So somebody help me. That's all I can say. I require help. So the state veteran homes, we're like the rest of the state of North Carolina. I don't know if you saw this morning, but we reported the first week in about 6 months when we were over 30,000 positive cases. Our veteran homes are no particular different. They're at about 20 cases between the 4 state veteran homes right now, which is the highest they've been since Christmas or before. We haven't experienced any fatalities because of that. We haven't experienced any even hospitalizations because of that. So our veterans are vaccinated, our residents of our homes, and this is proof positive that the vaccination process is the way to go about dealing with the COVID-19 virus. And transitioning into that, we're still working and letting everyone know and continuing to push the concept the governor put out, the 3 W's. You know, get vaccinated, stay vigilant, and wash your hands, and all those kinds of things that that are just good safety precautions in this process. Lastly, empowering the subcommittees. I really want to harp on that these subcommittees we've established. We did one for housing, education, employment, benefits, social enrichment, health care, and kind of something we call equity across the state. We've got these 7 subcommittees. We really are working on those committees having an opportunity to identify problem areas, to identify recommended solutions, come back to our department, say, hey, if we could get the legislatures to support this, if we could get the VA to help us do this. We're trying to move the needle on veteran services and not just keep talking about what veteran services we have, but move the needle to the veteran services we need to have and make sure that we're applying them across the state of North Carolina and make sure that ultimately the veteran population in the state is getting everything we can do for them. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, this is later on.
So we will come back to the CVEB. And next up, we have Jonathan Benoit, the Deputy Network Director for Vision 6. Welcome, Jonathan. It's our first time with us. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Jonathan Benoit. I'm the Deputy Network Director for Vision 6, representing Mr. Paul Cruz, who's unexpectedly unable to make it today. I'm very excited. I've been in my position for about 7-8 weeks now. So I'm learning our region, which includes, of course, North Carolina and Virginia, and I'm honored to be here. I came from Florida. I was the Associate Director of the Bay Pines VA Healthcare System when I was there. So thrilled to be here and happy to be here in this forum to provide some updates today. For our North Carolina leadership updates, we have some changes. We have some changes I'd like to share with you. We're currently in the recruitment phase. for Fayetteville VA healthcare system. So we currently have Dr. Jeffrey Morgan. He is the Fayetteville's Chief of Staff, and he is filling in as the acting director right now while we perform that search, hoping to have a selection in the next couple of months. Also happy to announce July 18th, we welcome John Melton to the Salisbury VA healthcare system. So he has started and getting acquainted. In his position, Mr. Melton has a wealth of experience leading medical facilities. He retired from the U.S. Army as a colonel, last serving as deputy commander of the U.S. Army Medical Research and Development Command in Fort Detrick, Maryland. For COVID, we continue to manage the impacts of COVID. As mentioned, we're currently dealing with BA5 through the healthcare system, which has led to a little bit of an uptick with cases to our employees, veterans, and to those with COVID in our inpatient units. It has not impacted operations, and we're monitoring it very closely and managing it each day. For our Link Kiosks, this is going to be this is a big change for veterans. A lot of veterans have become accustomed to walking in using our kiosks. We are going away from kiosks on a national scale, but there is a replacement that we're starting to circulate with widely with our communications, and that is it is a web platform using QR code technology, and which allows for veterans to check in up to 7 days before their appointment, and update demographic information, emergency contact information, or next of kin. And this should mean faster day of check-in and reduction of lines, improved access for those relying on assistive technology online. But as always, we have our medical support assistants in each clinic and ready and waiting, to help any veteran, especially as they, adopt to the new technology. Our Access to Care website. This is something that we're in the process of circulating. It's a national change to our Access to Care website. Many new metrics that are out there. On the last slide, I have the link to the updated slide, and it just goes over a variety of other things. It kind of changes the way that VA is sharing our access data. So that is, as I said, available, and a lot of feedback. There was focus groups and others to be able to make sure that we were displaying the information that's important. All right, coming up, August is National Minority Donor Awareness Month, a collaborative initiative to save and improve the quality of life of diverse communities by creating a positive culture for organ, eye, and tissue donation. It's also National Immunization Awareness Month, highlighting the importance of vaccination for people of all ages. Our new crisis line, 988, is put into effect as a result of the National Suicide Hotline Designation Act of 2020. Please help circulate this information, as it is a simplification number. It makes it easier to remember and thereby more convenient to use when needed. And veterans are still able to call the 1-800 number that we have available, 1-800-273-8255, and press 1 to chat, and also text 838-255 to reach responders. But happy to share this initiative to make things easier for veterans in need. Our AIR update, which is the Asset and Infrastructure Review Commission, which is a bipartisan, presidentially and congressionally approved group introduced in March. It's recently been decommissioned by Congress. Some of you may have seen that in the news. But as Ms. Cruz indicated previously, we will continue to move forward with any planned infrastructure updates as intended. This will be a VA-wide initiative. We're still looking at all the market assessments, any replacement facilities, upgrades, new leases that we need, to provide top quality care and enhance our infrastructure. So that is continuing to move forward. Just as soon as this afternoon, before I came here, I was part of a meeting discussing these efforts, and so looking forward to see the results of this in the years to come. Pathfinder, I would like to share that with you. It's a new service to businesses. It's a new virtual concierge web tool that will function as a front door to sell or innovate with VA. VA is always looking for ways to improve the lives of veterans and their families. This application can help you get to the right place in person fast. The application will connect businesses with VA contracting experts. The tool allows vendors and innovators to learn, submit, engage. It just allows those out there who have products who may benefit veterans and our healthcare to connect, and also have that website available on my last slide. All right, and viewer takeaways, as I mentioned throughout these updates, there's links to VA site. Also, we added the link for toxic exposure, vaccine information, as mentioned earlier, in the new Access to Care website, Pathfinder webpage, and mental health resources, including the new 988 crisis line number. So that is it for me. Thank you for the opportunity to provide these updates.
Thank you very, very much. Next up, Mr. Mark Belos with the Winston-Salem VA Regional Office update.
Thank you, Crystal. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here in person. I was unfortunately not able to be at the last in-person session, but this is great. It's good to see old friends in person that I haven't seen in years, so that I used to see every week, it seemed like. So it's great to be here. I'm excited to give you an update on some important things from the VBA side of the house. So a couple new things. Some of you may have known that there was a nomination in the Senate for Undersecretary for Benefits, and that name was withdrawn. We have a search committee out there right now looking for a new Undersecretary for Benefits. In the meantime, Joshua Jacobs, who was a special assistant to the Secretary, has come over to VBA effective just this past Monday to be he's the senior advisor for policy, performing the delegated duties of the Undersecretary for Benefits. So he's the acting Undersecretary in short. So we're excited to have Josh join the team in VBA, and he'll be staying on as the search committee looks for a new nomination. So we're excited to hear from him. I had an opportunity to listen to him talk on Tuesday. And he talked very much about collaboration, some of the stuff that Terry talked about with Mission 85, and some of the important initiatives out there that we're collaborating and working with all partners. So that was really good to hear him talk about that. I will reiterate what my colleague from Vision 6 said about the Veterans Crisis Line 988 number. I don't think we can repeat that enough. That's a really important issue. It's something that there's a lot of folks out there struggling. It's something that is very close, I know, to the Secretary's heart about solving not only homelessness but suicide prevention. And this is a number that anybody can reach out. It's a lot easier than the old 1-800 number, which is still active, by the way. But 988, press 1, and you'll be contacted with someone who can help you and guide you in the right direction. So please, if you're a veteran and you're hurting, you're struggling, call that number. If you know a veteran, call that number. Please use that. I do want to talk a little bit about Tele Benefits. One of the things that we've started up a few years ago and then just started up this year was a couple Tele Benefits sites at our healthcare centers in the state of North Carolina. We have a site set up in Wilmington at the healthcare center there, and just recently in Greenville, where if you're a veteran and you want to talk to somebody from BVA about your benefits, you can talk to them there, set up an appointment, and you'll talk to somebody face-to-face over video. And we can give you an update on your benefits or talk to you about any issues you have from the VBA side and try to help to guide you along. I know it's tough for everybody to get to the regional office in Winston, so this is just another opportunity for us to be able to offer face-to-face services around the state. I can tell you the Greenville site has been outstanding. All the appointments that we have had have filled up, and they have been really a great benefit for us in servicing veterans face-to-face through the virtual world. So please take advantage of that. We're also getting back to more and more of our outreach. We are back in Kernersville at the Healthcare Center 1 day a week right now. We hope to expand that. So again, if you, we are going by appointment, but we hope to expand that and be there more frequently as the year progresses. So some good things. I can't even tell if I moved it. I did, okay. We are excited to do our next Veterans Benefits Live VA in my town in Mecklenburg County in Charlotte. The last one we did was in Cary, and we had well over 1,000 veterans come and see us over a 3-day period. We've partnered with Terry and his folks in the state to put this together, and it's going to be August 18th through the 20th. It's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we're really excited about that. Full range of benefits from the VA side, not just from VBA. We're going to have folks there from VHA, the Vet Center, that'll help us. And I think we gave a flyer to the Governor's Working Group that they can post on their website for it. So we're really excited about that event, and we're expecting well over 1,000 people over the 3-day period. So please come and visit us. So just the viewer takeaways, the crisis line again, the Tele Benefits sites in Greensboro and Greenville and Wilmington, and the VA in my town event coming up in Charlotte. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, we have Victor Glover, State Director for Veterans Employment Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Good afternoon. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was sitting there listening to everyone, but in particular, Terry's dissertation caught my attention. And he mentioned a conference in Hawaii, but I didn't see a sign-up sheet. So I've got one. But Paul and I are on there first, so keep that in mind. Paul and I thought about it first. I bring you greetings from Assistant Secretary Chet Mottershed and our Chief Operating Officer Mark Edmonds from the Department of Commerce, Workforce Solutions. I'm glad that I'm here in person. I didn't recognize Mark Belos till he mentioned his name, but I've seen him on screen, I guess for the last 2 years or so. But in person, we all look a little bit different. Just a few things I wanted to share with everyone that's going on within the Department of Commerce that we're trying to make some headways. Okay. I did that without even looking. Yeah. We have some milestones that we want to share with you. They're significant and important to us, but I'm going to share these with you. So far this year, we have 19,757 new jobs that are being announced as of this month. That's compared to 12,667 jobs that were announced at the same time last year. So we're recovering. So we expect the numbers to be, if we're halfway there and we're really getting out and reaching employers, we really expect these numbers to really hopefully get up to around 50,000 jobs that we were able to post and announce for North Carolinians. In 2021, the whole year, we did 24,224 jobs were announced for North Carolinians in the state of North Carolina. So what's happening now? We have NC Job Ready. It's one of Governor Cooper's premier workforce development initiatives. It ensures that North Carolinians are ready for jobs of today and jobs of tomorrow. The framework is built on 3 specific principles: skills and education attainment, employer leadership, and local innovation. If you've been keeping up with the North Carolina economic development news, we have more and more real large and lucrative employers that are coming into the state of North Carolina. If some of you will think back to 20 and 21 when they said, oh, they'll be here in 3 years, they're building a new facility. We're about there. And we've made some other landmark announcements of other large companies coming into the area. I think I was on vacation last week and I saw an article that said that Cary was the #1 city right in the nation. And there's another town called Olathe, Kansas. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. They were #8. That's where I was, Olathe. I'm from Olathe. Yeah. So we're kicking it. But well, I was very proud to see, well, I'm a North Carolinian now, I'm a Tar Heel now. But I was very proud to see where we were in the state, and that was just Cary. But the Raleigh, Durham, Mecklenburg County, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, we're really making some headways with very lucrative job opportunities for North Carolinians. Wanted to pivot, talk about the North Carolina Veterans Portal, specifically for our veterans in the state of North Carolina. Provides an online portal to help North Carolina veterans find jobs. These are the type of jobs that leverage the critical skills and experience that we've all gained through our military service, and shows us and helps us to find new careers in high demand fields. Easy to navigate. And this program, I really want to take an additional 30 minutes and boast and brag about this program. It took us 2 years to get a memorandum of understanding signed between the state and the Hilton brand organization. And what this program does is our veterans, National Guard, Reserve, military spouse, transitioning service members can receive up to 100,000 points. They can use those points for house hunting, job interviews, training, skills training. We worked with a Skill Bridge program at Fort Bragg. They wanted to take their class down to a manufacturing location in Charlotte, and they needed 2 overnights. So they registered, they were awarded the points, and they stayed a couple of nights over. The city of Hickory has a Hire Hickory or Welcome to Hickory every year for veterans. And they were working with the Hilton brand at that time, and the city was paying for any veteran or transitioning service member who wanted to come and tour Hickory for the weekend. Well, now through this program, they can add that and take that money and use it somewhere else. And we can provide, not we, but the Hilton Honors program can provide the points. Very easy, very simple. Reach out to any one of the career centers in the state of North Carolina. There are 80 career centers. Ask for a veterans rep, and they'll help with the paperwork. Most of it's is electronic, so folks don't even have to show up. We do ask that they are a veteran from the Guard, Reserve, or whatever, and we don't demand that they show proof, but integrity, honor. If something's a little sketchy, they may ask someone for a DD-214 or document showing that they had served or presently in any one of the services. We've had people from Idaho contact us that want to come do some house hunting in North Carolina, and we got them registered and got them 100,000 points. Usually do it within 24 hours. If we get it today, they'll usually have it approved by this evening or first thing in the morning. So there's no lag time to get this program moving. So what does a person have to do? First, they have to go into the Hilton Honors website and register. I want to be a Hilton Honors member. And then they have to go into the NC Works website and register that they're inside. They don't have to be from the state of North Carolina. Anybody can register into the website. And they register in the website, fill out a document. They can electronically send it to us, unless they come into the center. And we get the paperwork moving. It starts moving, and it's as simple as I just made it sound. Now, there's a lot of word on these 2 documents, but it's not complicated. Just as I explained it is just how we want to pursue it. I was listening to what Mark was saying and about the veterans programs that are happening in Mecklenburg County. We might look into that and see if it's something that on the flyers you can offer to folks that may want to come and need an overnight stay. The program is that broad and it's that flexible, whatever and however we can help veterans transitioning service members. And the last thing on that is that even couples, if both individuals have served, they receive points separately, not as a family. They receive them individually. So contact the career centers, reach out to me. My contact information is on the last flyer, or any of the career centers. And if you say Victor said or Victor Glover said, they'll stop and they'll do what needs to be done. Good luck with that. It's like getting to the trip to Hawaii, right? But don't hesitate to reach out to me or any one of the career centers. And even if you say Victor Glover said, they all know my number. So we'll be able to help and assist in any possible way. Be creative, because if you tell me you've got a great idea on how this might be done, I'll take it to the Hilton folks. They haven't refused us yet for good ideas, and I think some of us out here, especially the Guard Reserve, may have some ideas on how you can be as effective with this. This program for us, our agreement runs through December 2024. So we have plenty of time for everybody. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it, Chris.
All right, next up is me. I stole a few minutes, even though I'm not on the agenda. I just wanted to talk briefly about our Governor's Challenge and Mayor's Challenge to prevent and reduce suicide among our service members, veterans, and their families, because COVID really punched us in the face and stopped all the momentum we were gaining in those programs, and we are not at zero. So we need to move forward with these programs. Nicole French, Doc French with Veterans Bridge Home, Paul Berry, myself, and Flo Stein are going to, next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, be in Alexandria, Virginia for the Innovations Conference with SAMHSA. So hopefully we get some fuel to get these programs back going. The reason I mentioned it on the prior slide, on this slide, my email address is there if you're interested in participating in either one of those programs. If you're in Mecklenburg County and want to work with the Mayor's Challenge, or if you want to work with the Governor's Challenge, please reach out to me so that we can get you on a roster and we can start moving forward with our all of our the tasks we have at hand. I also wanted to point out the new 988 number. It's very important. It's very easy to remember. It is as important as 911 because it can save a life. So please share this with all of your friends and families. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit that share button and share our entire program so people can hear what we have to put out. Next up, so the Benefits Subcommittee, of which I am the chair, of which I am conditioning the new Field Operations Manager for the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs to take over, needs members. It needs help, so please reach out to me. I will put you in touch with Edison Platt. And in Mecklenburg County, we are working with our partner agencies. We're planning right now a kind of an MOU, I guess, or a partnership agreement of what do you do when you find a veteran and what do we do when we have a veteran that needs your services. And that's with between Community Support Services and DHHS. So just recently we've been going and talking to groups. We've been able to talk to the guardianship group. We've been able to talk to family and youth services and teach them about the benefits and resources that we have and encouraging them to ask their clients, have you or someone you loved ever served in the military or ever served in the armed forces, or have they ever worn the uniform? And we give them all this different language to use because so many veterans do not identify as veterans, and we need to identify them so that we can work with them. We have too many veterans in the state of North Carolina who are eligible for benefits that are not receiving those benefits. So the way that when we identify them, that also works with the prevention and reduction of suicide, because if we can help stabilize them, help improve their quality of life, then we are not digging as many holes as my dear friend Jeff Smith would say. We have a lot of work to do. in North Carolina. And so please, if you're interested in joining us, just remember my email is there. Again, Veterans Benefits Live, Mecklenburg County is working really hard to get all of that together. We do still have some vendor slots. If you are interested in coming and participating in the event, again, contact me. I get hundreds of emails a day. If that's fine, I will get back to you, I promise. Just give us a call. We do have vendor tables left, and we can, if you want to come and volunteer, or if you just want to come and visit to see how our operation works because you would like to maybe have one in the future in one of your hometowns, please feel free to join us. Next thing I stuck in there was just the a veterans coffee schedule that happens at Richard Childress Racing. So if you're in the middle of the state, we have had people come all the way from Raleigh up to Davidson County to join us at the RCR for those events. Always a good turnout. They also welcome vendors to come on those Wednesday mornings. And so just put that schedule in there. I'm not going to read it to you. You can get these slides at ncgwg.org. And so you will have all of that information at your fingertips right there. Next up, I have the dynamic duo of Blake Bourne and Paul Berry with Veterans Bridge Home. They're going to talk about some other very important things that are going on in North Carolina and how we reach our veterans. Welcome to you both. Thank you for being with us today.
Let's hear it for Crystal. All right. Good afternoon. Thanks for having us. I'm Blake Bourne, the Executive Director of Veterans Bridge Home, Army veteran, and I was in the Army just long enough to know that I shouldn't go anywhere without a squared away NCO. So that's why Paul is joining me up here. Paul, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I think most people know me. I'm Paul Berry, retired Marine Corps Sergeant Major, did 30 years, and been doing NC Service work and Veterans Bridge Home stuff for nearly 5 years now.
So we appreciate this opportunity. Thanks, Secretary Westbrook, for inviting us to come speak. Quick shout out to our friends both from VBA for the Veterans Live event that is coming to Charlotte, and then also NC Commerce. August is a big month for Charlotte because you're also doing the Workforce Solutions training there. So excited to have you both in town. And I want to underscore the 988 points, a really exciting opportunity. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And the Veteran Pathfinder, I had a chance to see that Veteran Pathfinder tool. It's really an incredible tool to streamline that innovation process with VA. Thanks for sharing, John. All right, so we wanted to share a little bit about some of the CVEBs. Many of you in this room, many in the audience know that CVEBs have been around for a little while, but we wanted to share some exciting updates and some of the alignment with the NCDMVA. So next slide. What we also know, though, is that the original playbook that was drafted over 7 years ago needed a refresh, so the VEO has done that, and they're basing many of those recommendations in that playbook off the work in North Carolina that Paul will be sharing shortly. And that's what I wanted to share as well. Pretty exciting news that North Carolina is leading the way in many cases. If you look at the 50 states, nearly every state has at least one CVEB. Only Texas has more than North Carolina. We have the second most in the entire country at 6 CVEBs. That's local grassroots empowerment and engagement of community partners. Also, every one of our CVEBs is using the technology platform that is provided thanks to our friends at DHHS called NC Serves. And we're looking at ways to align so that those local priorities can move up. If you're not familiar with CVEBs, encourage you to think about it this way. That's sort of what life looks like for a veteran, right? There's so many different actors, there's so many different organizations that try to drive impact for veterans, but it can be very siloed. Our friends at the Bob Woodruff Foundation created this a few years ago, and I think it shows some of the disconnect and all the different silos that exist, and we need to be able to work together, and if we put the veteran at the center of that work and recognize that where that veteran lives and the communities and resources that are in and around where they live, work, and play are the ones that are going to have the most direct impact, they should also be the ones informing the work. So the CVEBs act as that conduit at a local level and then can pass those priorities, that data, that information up to our leaders represented here. This was the original playbook. There's some great tools that encourage you. There's a website linked at the bottom. You can check those out and see how it follows a collective impact framework. So it's evidence-based. It's not rocket science. Even an infantryman like me can understand it. But it's about using and leveraging subject matter experts in each of the areas that are represented up here: employment, benefits, healthcare, housing, education, having them inform their local partners, and then working through a backbone and then being data informed thanks to technology. The good news is the VEO team that is up in DC now, what they have very clearly stated is they want to enable and support the VHA and VBA partners. That's a new position for them, and they recognize that they need to enable and support what VHA and VBA are doing, so they're aligning their new playbook for CVEBs to mirror and support what VBA is doing with the My Town Live efforts, as well as the Public Health 2.0, or Suicide Prevention 2.0, right? It's about engaging locally. So it's really exciting as a local practitioner, Paul and I for many years, to see VBA, VHA, VEO, and now NCGWG all pointing in the same direction and aligning on this community collaborative is an exciting next step. This is a little snapshot. The VEO has not released this. This is, I think, version 32 of the playbook. I technically don't have clearance to share this, but I did screenshot 2 of the slides just to give you a sense of what they're looking at. And if you compare the last slide that I shared a few minutes ago to that one on the right, putting the family at the center, creating their community around them, and then empowering, engaging that community to passive act the hand and arm signals that will inform us how we take better care of them is really a great opportunity. And then just a snapshot, this isn't new to North Carolina. Actually, Cajun Como started when he left the American Legion, and one of the first things he did was stand up CVEBs in North Carolina. And so now we have 6 active CVEBs represented by those circles. And I'll let Paul Berry give you a little bit more background and how to plug in with them, and then I'll tie that into Mission 85. Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Blake. Yeah, never give the Sergeant Major the microphone. But I see Mr. Paul Dillon out there, Vietnam veteran. Welcome home, Paul. Victor, that Hilton Honors is changing lives. We're just starting to get momentum. I seen Mike down there writing, so he's got ideas. He'll get with you. We really appreciate that. That's NCO stuff that gets stuff done. So we really greatly appreciate that. So a little bit more about the CVEBs. I talked to counterparts and government officials in other states, and they're like, "Wow, you really got it going on there in North Carolina." But the grassroots does go back, 7 years now, to Cajun and some others who really put this together. In my time, short time with NC SERS, I've touched, chaired, co-chaired, picked up cigarette butts, swept the floors or something for 3 of the 6 CVEBs. I want to point out right now in Fayetteville, for example, retired Command Sergeant Major Al Lampkins, who works for Veterans Bridge Home, chairs what's called the Community Blueprint, which is the CVEB. That's the last community blueprint left. Look it up sometime or get a hold of me. That Dr. Barbara Van Dalen created that with Given Hour over 10 years ago now. And it's not only the last one left, it's still thriving and growing. So again, it's a testament though of the leadership here, represented here and out there, of why that has been successful. But you come up to Raleigh and believe it or not, at one point there was not a CVEB that was active in Raleigh. So I'm new to this, like, what's this? But some community partners came together and said, hey, let's do this. I've chaired it. Mike Mertzke now has it, and they're doing some innovative stuff too. I think they're thinking out of the box, the way we are thinking with the Vision and others, to say, hey, let's look at this just a little bit different. But we can go all the way out to Asheville, and we got some great Americans, Lee Tabor, Jeremy Hughes. These names are just so common that they're out at the edge of the empire, far away from the flag in Raleigh, but yet they have some of the same struggles that we have, and that's why we're going to share it. And then you go down into the big, crazy Charlotte, and you got Diane Weekly from Veterans Bridge Home, but Scott from Veteran Services down there, and they're just crushing it. And it's amazing when you take someone from a rural community and then a big city like Charlotte, but yet when you align things, it's kind of the same. It just maybe distance is different, the flow of money or workflow might be a little different. But we started to look at this and say, there's a lot of the same stuff. We're just attacking it in a different way. So hence all this alignment that you hear when it comes to how we're going to be able to push information up and then pull information down. And then, yeah, it's not like a mortar, doesn't it? And then even all the way out in Greenville in the east with our partners out there with Scott and Phil, who have a combination. I mean, that's no man's land all the way up to Elizabeth City down to Wilmington, but yet they're bringing organizations, multiple organizations together. So if you need to get in touch, one, you get a hold of me, but I share this information. I have a CVEB contact roster. Come see me. I've got a business card. If you want to be involved and you're in one of those areas, come see me. If you're in the Raleigh area, Mike's right down here up front from Veterans Bridge Home, but I can make you a connection anywhere we need to go. Thanks, Blake.
Thanks, Paul. Paul's going to be too humble. The fact that he was coordinating and chairing 3 CVEBs between the Triad, the Triangle, and Fayetteville was no small task. But what it also informed us was a lot of those things, he saw that in multiple communities facing many of the same challenges, and recognized when he first came aboard Veterans Bridge Home, I said, what's the one thing we need to do? He said, Blake, all these communities are fighting the same fight. They don't necessarily realize it. They could learn a lot from one another. And he lived that by supporting, and his teammates supporting each of those areas through the USO of North Carolina. An example of that, here's a snapshot of that alignment, right? Lee Tabor out on the Blue Ridge CVEB, right? Who is it? What are they doing? Who are their partners? And then what's working and what's not? That might be unique to them, but when you start looking across the CVEBs, and I won't kill you with the slides, that's an officer thing, you'll see that alignment, and you'll start to see best practices. And you'll say, oh wait, Lee, how are you doing that? Can we take that and use that in Charlotte? Hey, Diane and Scott, how did you guys figure that out with DSS? Can we go give that to Phil out on the coast? And so sharing those similar challenges across those battle spaces really makes a difference. And so Paul deserves a lot of credit for organizing these guys, bringing them together now 4 times in the past 2 years. And the VEO leadership has come down and has based that playbook, again, off of these things. Not off of Charlotte, not off of Raleigh, but off of all of them collectively sharing those best practices. So one of the ways that we are encouraging our CVEBs to engage are using the journey map. The VA has done an amazing job of building tools that we can use at the local level. And this is, I know it's really small, you're not meant to read it, but what it looks like, if you look up here, serving and separating from the military in the green, living in civilian life, and then retiring and aging at the end. These are the moments that matter according to the VA. They've had a lot of smart folks look at every single moment that matters, and you dive into this and you can look very detailed in what the VA provides from a healthcare side, from a benefit side, from a cemetery side, and then encouraging you to find the resources in the community. At the community level, we want to encourage our partners to fall in line. If the VA says it's a moment that matters for a Vietnam veteran or a post 9/11 veteran, then we should fall in line with that and make sure that we're aligning on those same resources and not duplicating efforts. So encourage you to take a look at that. The journey map is the name of this tool, and then the welcome kit is a detailed version of it. The links are in here, and they're at the same website that Crystal mentioned. So key takeaways. Find your local CVEB. Those CVEBs are as strong and as informed as the partners that are a part of them. So if for your organization, for your specialties area and voice to be heard, that's the place to go engage. If you're not sure, we can plug you in with that leader in that community who isn't getting paid, who isn't getting any extra support. They're just doing it because they recognize they need their partners in the community to better care for veterans. Also want to encourage, if we do that effectively, we align the right stakeholders, we inform them with data, we utilize the technology that's on hand, then we can come to this meeting and provide the different priority sets, the different data sets that say, is housing or healthcare more important? Well, they're both important, right? What do we need to do in each of those areas? Where do we have shared common interests in each of those areas? And to touch on the Mission 85 work that Assistant Secretary Westbrook asked me to, all Mission 85 is an expanded version of what I just talked about. We have friends in South Carolina and Georgia representing those other CVEBs who are also similarly facing challenges. I'm pretty proud to say most of the best practice sharing goes south along I-85. That's where Mission 85 came from. Charlanta sounded terrible, so we just we needed to find a better way to say that. but it's really about the communities that veterans live in and around the I-85 corridor. And a lot of the best practices, a lot of the things that get shared are coming out of North Carolina, out of this group. Secretary Grimsley in South Carolina saying, what is that governor's working group? Tell me about that forum. Let's talk to Secretary Gaskin about that. How do you guys use technology? We need to get our own technology platform, which they're in the midst of implementing. Trish Ross is the new Secretary for Veteran Affairs in Georgia, commissioner title. She's looking at a technology platform based off of the experience in North and now South Carolina. So All Mission 85 is a expanded version because, as Terry said it, our veterans don't necessarily care if they live in York County, Mecklenburg County, Currituck County, Vision 6, Vision 7, right? Each of us have a different battle map, right? A different bus map that could overlay and look differently. We should be the ones that work through our communities to ensure that they get the best care they need and not let those impediments do that. So that's what Mission 85 is all about. It's really an expanded CVEB model. Unless there's any questions, and Mr. Westbrook, anything to add to that?
Thanks, Blake.
Sure.
I appreciate all that. Give me a second. I'm looking for something here. Going the right direction. Okay. So, first thing I want to do is thank you, Blake, Paul and Blake both, for all the information. So, CVEB is a Community Veterans Engagement Board. A lot of you know what that is, and a lot of you know what it stands for. But what we're talking about here is nothing more than all of the everybody in a community that's providing veteran services or utilizing veteran services or anything like that, coming together with a little structure and designing what their community needs to execute services for veterans. That's what we're talking about here. Secretary Gaskin is pretty firm about not only supporting that, but expanding that and trying to help out. So a couple things I want to talk about now is, first off, the I-85 corridor is the entire state of North Carolina. We're not talking about just, a house on the side of 85. We're talking about, Boone, North Carolina. We're talking about Wilmington, North Carolina, Elizabeth City. We're talking about the state of North Carolina here. We have 6 CVEBs in the state, but any community or any region can establish a CVEB for itself, especially if they understand the veterans' issues in their area. So if Boone, North Carolina needs to establish a Northwest North Carolina CVEB, we can go there. Same thing, Wilmington. If we need to go up into the Dare County and Elizabeth City and up in the Northeast, the Outer Banks CVEB. So, and I think ultimately we're talking about CVEBs that cover the entire map. If we're really executing, if we're really where we need to be, then we've got CVEBs that are addressing issues that overlap everybody else in the state. We don't have dead spots or any of that. So that's the first thing, CVEBs themselves. Second off, I want to talk about the hook between the Governor's Working Group and the CVEBs. So as you know, we started these subcommittees. 4 of our 7 subcommittee chairmen are here today. Victor, that does our employment subcommittee, Dave Roddenberry, that does our equity, Blake, that's doing our social enrichment, Crystal, that's doing our benefits. So 4 of the 7 communities, the only ones that aren't here, the education, the homelessness, and the healthcare. However, Jonathan's down here. Stephanie Young, who is his medical center director in Asheville, is the chairman of that committee. So 5 of the 7 committees are here in the building today. We really want to get all of them here. But what we want to do is we want to connect those subcommittees to the CVEBs. So when a CVEB goes in Mecklenburg County and it goes through it, and the county commissioners come up and they say, hey, we want to address homelessness on a very specific basis in Charlotte, North Carolina. Where can we get some help for resources? Well, Brandon Wilson is the subcommittee chairman for homeless from the Governor's Working Group. He lives in Asheville, North Carolina. He's got a wealth of information. Let's go out, reach out to Brandon. Let's get some of these things out there and figure out what the programs could look like, figure out what we can do here. Same thing if we're talking about Wilmington and all of a sudden Wilmington says our veterans population needs some education support. I want you to reach out to Brad Wren, who is the chairman of the Governor's Working Group Subcommittee on Education, and talk about what veterans education support could look like. Are we going to execute things within the community college system? Do we need to improve the veteran experience at college? Do we need to improve the state's ability to provide resources for veterans education? Scholarship programs, tuition programs, anything like that. So the Governor's Working Group, this is why we configured these subcommittees, so that we could hook them together with CVEBs and address issues specifically and address the resourcing or the creation or the execution of the things we need to do in our communities. The reason we really need the CVEBs is there's no way Terry Westbrook can stand in Raleigh, North Carolina and figure out what 700,000 veterans need in the state of North Carolina. I got no possibility here. If I put every resource I had in my back pocket out there, I still can't do it. So we got to throw the net wide. We got to get the net full of fish, and we got to get the net with lots of fishermen out there reeling it in. So that's why we really want this CVEB situation to happen. I want to talk to anybody about it. We've talked to the committee, so the committee co-chairs. We've talked to Secretary Gaskin. Secretary Gaskin is going to be putting out some very targeted guidance to the CVEB community and say, hey, we want you to tailor your program to your place, but we want you to know that there's some targeted resources out there that you can tie into to address things in your world. Urban folks might have more employment issues. We got Victor that wants to do job fairs, and he wants to identify organizations that are looking to hire veterans, and he wants to identify veterans that are looking to go to work somewhere. So this is all stuff out there. So we're not asking people to create a vacuum that there's not any information to put in it. We're asking people to identify what information they need, and we want them to create that structure, and we want to make sure that the county commissioners, the city council, the state legislature, all of those people want to make sure that all of these resources that have different parts of what we're going to try to do are knowledgeable about what we're trying to do, because some of this is a legislative component. We got to go to the General Assembly and get support for it. Some of this is stuff at the county level that the county might need to hire more veteran service officers. Anything like that. So there's all kinds of levels of things that need to happen. We want to engage those corporate partners that are looking for corporate philanthropy that are really targeted toward veterans. And we know there's those guys in North Carolina. Lowe's is a big corporate partner that wants to help veterans. There's other companies like that out there. Our partners in the other states are in the same kind of deal. We have a Pruitt Healthcare out of Atlanta, Georgia, is a big veterans philanthropy organized organization. The Arthur Blanks Foundation, Arthur Blanks, the guy that owns the Atlanta Braves or whatever, Falcons, either one, they're the same thing. These guys, they want to execute efforts in the veterans community to make a veteran's life better. We want to tell them what will make a veteran's life better. That's why we need to make this happen. That's why John Borsler at the VA is looking at North Carolina and looking at the program we're trying to do and seeing if it's going to do what we say it's going to do. So we have lots of these kind of issues. I'm interested in anybody from any community in the state that comes up. If one person from Mount Airy, North Carolina says they want to set up a CVEB, I want to help them set up a CVEB in Mount Airy. and that's where we're at here. I want to engage the American Legion and the VFW and Disabled American Veterans. And I want to engage Veterans Bridge Home and Veteran Services Carolina and American Heroes for North Carolina and all these other organizations, because I want to make sure that what you have is being efficiently applied to what we're trying to do. So, is there any questions at all about that? I'd love to have a discussion about that if anybody's got that on their mind. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, what we're really wanting the Governor's Working Group subcommittees to do for us is to lay that data out there in front of us and talk about, we started this many programs, we've affected this many people in the housing community, we've generated this many transitional housing requirements across the state. We're working with 6 CVEBs right now, and we have transitional housing happening in every place. So as they develop the data of their accomplishments and then identify the resourcing they need to take that further, this is the organization where they're going to tell us about that. We're going to start that in September? August. Start briefbacks in September. So we're going to, in August, every one of our subcommittee chairmen, Victor, Crystal, go ahead, wherever it's at, there it is. So in August, every one of our subcommittee chairmen is going to come in here and talk about their subcommittee. They're going to talk about the organization, they're going to talk about their goals and their mission statement and their known points of interest that they're focusing on. They're going to talk about their team, and they're going to talk about getting ready and where they're starting the world at. So and then starting in September, we're going to start hearing from those guys that say, hey, we've made these connections, we've gone down this road. We're not about patting ourselves on the back here. We're not about introducing ourselves to each other. We're about work getting done in veteran services space. Thank you, sir. Moses.
Talking about with these CVEBs, because I mean we've been doing it for a while, and then also with the Governor's Working Group, is getting the information to the individual veteran that's out there that aren't plugged into traditional veteran nonprofits, and then also like some American Legions or DAVs or certain organizations, they have events, but no one knows anything about it except maybe for us in the VA because they're asking us to attend. But there's a calendar, we're not utilizing it. We have social media. We should be able to push these meetings either by having video of it, just like we do the Governor's Working Group. So maybe we can support the local CVEBs with ways to electronically sign into the meetings, and then also produce it so people can watch it on Facebook on the pre-existing Governor's Institute, so we have a record of things. But I'm a big believer if we're able to get it to somebody generally out in the public and then tie them back into us as a larger organization, like to the local CVEBs, back to the bigger organization, then knowledge is power. So everyone has the ability. Because most of the time, I'm always trying to, hey, you're telling me about this event. Did you plug this into the event calendar? You as an organization, have you told your veterans that all the resources are centralized for the state of North Carolina in the working group, in the CVEBs, on NC for Vets? So if we could just keep reminding ourselves to keep pushing that, and then specifically for the CVEBs, if we can have the same presence with it being recorded and having a virtual way of signing in to the local CVEBs. That's all I got, Terry.
Thank you, Moses. I appreciate it. Number one, based on that, I would actually encourage our subcommittee chairmen specifically to make sure you reach out and populate your meeting schedule onto this calendar that Moses is talking about, so people know what you got going on. Secondly, I would ask Paul Berry specifically, as we identify the chairman of the 6 CVEBs that we have, I want to get out to them the same thing. Said, here's the calendar, plug your meeting in there. Now, whether or not that CVEB comes to the conclusion that they want their meeting to throw a wide enough net that people can get onto it in a virtual mode, that's completely up to them. I'm not going to go down that road with them. But if they do want to do that, we can certainly apply our resources to it. And I would like to say this. Number one, the VA, both the VHA and the VBA side, they're going to be, for want of a better word, partners in this, because we want to make sure we're executing things that support what they need from us, and we want to make sure that our veterans are getting the benefit that the VHA and VBA is out there working for. So, but these meetings aren't about Mark Belos attending them or anybody or Terry Westbrook attending them. They're about the community meeting and talking about its issues and coming back through our chain of command. In this case, if they have an issue on housing, coming back through the governor's working group subcommittee on housing and getting back with them, and then Brandon coming up here in front of us and saying, I've got housing issues in these 3 communities or these 6 communities, and we want to talk about how we're going to establish transitional housing support in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. What are we going to do? We've got a guy in High Point, his name's Patrick Davis. He's hosted our meeting last Monday. He owns 3 or 4 houses in High Point that are transitional housing for veterans that need housing. And that's all they're for. And when you move into that house, no rent, no utilities, no facility maintenance. You live in this house until you get on your feet and you can do something. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about. So, you know, I'm not looking for anybody to come up here and say, hey, I plan on visiting every CVEB and I plan on being at every meeting that happens. I'm just looking for us to find our place and be part of the community that fixes things for veterans.
Sir, I appreciate that last comment, and I think just to amplify Moses' point, one of the initial kind of founding tenets was accountability and transparency, that absolutely every one of those CVEB meetings should be open to the public, needs to be open to the public, and now, unfortunately, thanks to COVID, I think we all know how to be more transparent in a hybrid environment so that we can and should leverage those tools. So that hasn't gone away, and I think the last point, and what VEO recently admitted in front of 100 people in Pittsburgh, was the older version of the CVEB model that I shared was untenable. To ask, you know, Mark, a VBA director, or a VHA, even a medical center director, to be at all of these meetings isn't necessary, right? But that's what we have CBOCs for. That's what we have HCCs for. Why do we need the VBA to be at every office when we have great, amazing county benefits officers that can be that subject matter expert? And because that's where the veteran's going to go, right? It's amazing that telehealth technology now that's available in Greenville and Wilmington is fantastic, but there's also folks like Crystal's team in Mecklenburg County they can walk down the street and get to, right? Those should be our first line of defense. And as a company grade guy around some serious senior leaders in here, right? It's great when the colonel comes down to your company level ops room, but does he really need to be there all the time? Do you really want him there all the time, right? It's our responsibility as local leaders to engage, get our house right, get our things in line, and then pass those priorities up, and then absolutely, Moses, turn right back around and let them know what the answer is from the higher headquarters. So that's it. This group, thanks to Flo and Dr. Cudler and others, have been doing this at the state level. I think we need to follow that lead at a local level and act in the same manner, just at a smaller battle space.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else with anything else? Anybody up here? We good? Folks, I appreciate your time on that. Thank you a lot for indulging me in the process. Thanks.
Give me just a moment as I get back to our final slide. I went too far. All right, mental health first aid. I just wanted to touch on that just for a moment. We have some classes coming up. These are 8-hour classes. Mental health first aid is to help you identify red flags, teach you how to possibly intervene in crisis, and to help people get the help that they need. It's a skills-based training course that teaches participants to identify, understand, and respond to mental health and substance use challenges. It's based on a basic course on mental health and substance abuse conditions, and again, give you the skills to understand or identify those red flags that you may see. I've taken the class myself. It's wonderful. You can take it again and again. The Governor's Institute has a grant. These classes will be offered for the next 4 years. As you can see, we have one coming up in Charlotte on August the 10th, on August 31st in the Triangle, and in Fayetteville on September the 14th. So these are really good for your entire group. We intend on having our entire team of VSOs take this class at some point in time. They're good for groups of DSS, groups of teachers, churches, community organizations. Also the places that we want to teach people to identify service members, veterans, and their families. Everything that we talked about today, the CVEB, the NC Serves, all the things that we've discussed all prevent suicide because we're talking about stabilizing and improving the quality of life for our veterans. Just a few things before we close. It's really hot outside. Please keep a check on your neighbors, especially your elderly neighbors. There are programs that can help low-income families with air conditioning. So please don't forget, it's been an unusually hot summer, hotter than any summer I can ever remember. So don't forget your elderly folks. I just want to mention that Gordon Jeans is not with us today. He is the CIT instructor out of Apex, and he is actually doing CIT, crisis intervention training for law enforcement and emergency services personnel, and he is coming to Mecklenburg on Monday to help us with our CIT training. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him. It's very important. So when we talk about these programs, Veterans Treatment Court, CVEBs, Governor's Challenge, Mayor's Challenge, the Veterans Experience, all of these things need you. They need your help. They need you to share. They need you to help educate, and so we can share those best practices. All right, our next meeting is going to be August the 25th here in the auditorium again. Let me just get to our last slide there. And it is going to be in person. I thought we might have, all right, details for registration. If you have any trouble getting through the gates because you didn't register, please register. They do have a list with your name on it. If you are not signed up, go to ncgwg.org and get on that emailing list so you will get those registration links in the future. Also, find your local VSO at www.milvets.nc.gov. I'm asking the Governor's Institute to please put those in the chat on the Facebook stream. And NC for Vets, you can find your local VSO. We can connect you to all of these resources. So really proud of all our VSOs in the state, NCDMVA, VA, VHA, yes, and all of our counties. So we appreciate you all. We are going to have networking, so if you want to stay with us, we're going to go around the room, let everyone introduce themselves, and tell you where they are from and what resources they have available.
Good afternoon. I'm Pamela Thomas. I'm currently serving as the Senior Vice President for the Marine Corps League Auxiliary for